Snow.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're coming on the air to bring you an update on that latest mass shooting in this country. It happened late last night, Thousand Oaks, California, when a gunman entered a nightclub packed with college students and opened fire, killing at least 12 people. At least 18 others were injured in the chaos that followed. This shooter has been identified today as Ian David Long, 28 years old, a former U.S. Marine and a veteran of the war in Afghanistan. He was found dead inside the club of an apparently self-inflicted gunshot wound. Among those killed, a sheriff's deputy whose body was transported this afternoon to a nearby medical center, as well as others who we're learning about. Let's listen in now to the sheriff and others talking about what happened last night.
GAROKUREDJIAN, captain with the sheriff's office. As you know, there were 11 victims inside the bar earlier today, last night. Those victims have been identified, and their family members have been notified. We will not be releasing the names of those victims at this time. The medical examiner's office will release those names to you all when they are ready to release those names. I suspect that will be in a couple of hours. It may be longer, but you'll refer to the ME's office for those names. Those are the only comments I have. I want to introduce to you Paul Delacourt, the Assistant Director of the FBI in the Los Angeles office. He has a couple comments.
Good afternoon. As the captain said, my name is Paul Delacourt. I'm the Assistant Director in charge of the FBI's Los Angeles field office. We're working closely with the Ventura County Sheriff's Department on this investigation in support of their lead on this shooting incident. I first want to offer condolences to the families of the victims and to the family of Sergeant Hellis, who responded to this incident with his CHP counterparts. The FBI is here to support Ventura County. To that end, at the request of Sheriff Dean, the FBI Los Angeles Evidence Response Team is processing the crime scene here behind me, as well as the subject's vehicle and the home on Newberry Park. We're going to pursue the leads that are developed from that evidence wherever they take us to identify any possible motivation, paint a picture of the frame of mind of the subject, identify any potential radicalization or any associates. At this point, we do not have any indicators of other associates, or there are no other threats to the Los Angeles area. I can't imagine the stress, can't imagine what the families are going through. Appreciate your patience as we work through in a painstaking fashion the evidence recovery and crime scene analysis that will be ongoing here for several days. And just want to once again pass on our support to the Ventura County Sheriff's Department on behalf of the law enforcement community, who has rallied a number of resources here to assist in the investigation in any way they can. Thank you.
I'd like to introduce Congresswoman Julia Brownley.
Thank you, Sheriff. I just have a few words to say. I'm the Congresswoman who represents this area, and I want to thank Ventura County Sheriffs. I want to thank the FBI. I want to thank the ATF. I want to thank law enforcement from so many counties in the surrounding area coming here to help us. I think the partnership has been extraordinary with the quickest response possible. And I just want this community to know that our hearts break. We are a community in mourning, and our thoughts and prayers are with the families who have lost loved ones. And we are here to support you and to help you in any way that we can.
I'd now like to introduce Special Agent in charge of the Los Angeles ATF office, Bill McMullen.
Good afternoon. My name is Bill McMullen. I'm the ATF Special Agent in charge of the Los Angeles Field Division. On behalf of the men and women of ATF, I'd also like to send our condolences to the victims and the family members who are trying to get through this tragedy together as they get through the healing process. I'd also like to recognize the leadership of Sheriff Dean and the entire Ventura County Sheriff's Department as they're going through the same emotions, but somehow finding the strength to bring together all the state, local, and federal agencies who responded here to work together as one team to make sure the public's safe. ATF agents responded immediately when this incident occurred last night. Throughout the night, have worked side by side with our state, local, and federal partners. We will continue to do that until this investigation is completed. At this point, I'll turn it over back to the Sheriff's Department for any questions. Thank you.
If you have questions, we'll direct them to the right person up here and try to answer as many questions as you have.
We saw a session of uniformed officers go over there. Can you tell us what that was about?
I didn't. He said that he saw a procession of uniformed officers going inside. I didn't see him. I don't know why they were going inside there. Sorry.
Have you guys been able to find the car? They're all out?
They're still processing the car. The evidence that they've obtained both in the car and the residence and inside. They're still processing the car. They're also processing the residence as well as the bar. The items that are taken out of there, we're not disclosing that at this point.
Director Delacourt, if you could just address in the few hours that it has been, though it has been sometime since this morning, on why this took place. Can you offer any sort of explanation at this point to where you have an understanding as to how we've arrived where we are now?
But as you suggested, it's only been a few hours. It would be premature for me to speculate on the motivation, but I can assure you that we will follow all the leads that are developed through witness interviews, evidence recovery, the forensic evidence, any digital media that we recover, and we will be sure to paint a picture of the state of mind of the subject and do our best to identify a motivation.
There were reports that the shooter has mental health issues and was suffering from PTSD. Is there any indication he was on any medication?
So I've seen those reports, but I don't have any familiarity with his medical history or medications.
Can you give us an idea of the scope of the resources that your office is pouring in this investigation?
So the FBI has its Los Angeles evidence response team on scene now. We're going to be supplemented by evidence response teams from other field offices around the country. The resources of the FBI laboratory are en route. We have victim specialists who are inbound as well to assist at the Family Assistance Center with the victims' families. We will pursue the digital trail and any other leads that we need to. We have the manpower to conduct as many leads as are necessary in coordination with the Ventura County Sheriff's Department investigation. Any technical resources that they request, we will look to supply. Well, so the investigation is developing. It might be premature for me to talk about a specific timeline. I know we're working on the sequence of events as they occurred, but I don't want to get out in front of what the evidence in the investigation will show.
Yeah, this morning the source said it looked like he thought that the perpetrator shot himself. Is that something we can say now?
Well, I don't think we can say anything definitely about the cause of death until the autopsy comes back. So at this point, our crime scene investigators are on the scene. They've had a closer look at the evidence, and we will look for developments in that regard. Ventura County Sheriff's Department, the our federal partners and the FBI are here to support the sheriff.
Can you guys talk a little bit about are there any security cameras inside or outside that will help you?
I'm sorry, sir?
Did you
stop to reload? Can you talk about the magazine at all? Do you know anything specific about it?
It's been reported that there were high-capacity magazines, but again, as for the sequence of events, I think we're going to work down some of the leads to make sure that we bring that out to you. We're much more precise in our analysis. Sir.
Your investigators have spent some time at the family home. Have you been able to talk to his parents or any of the associates of the suspect, and have those information proved fruitful?
In coordination with the Sheriff's Department, a number of interviews are going on, but I don't want to get in front of the Sheriff's Department investigation and speak to all the investigative avenues that are ongoing. Sir.
Are there any security cameras either inside or outside that can help you in this investigation or give you more than what you have now?
So we're pursuing all the available leads, and of course we will be seeking any video surveillance that is in or around the premises. We'll also be seeking any video that was taken by witnesses that were inside the inside the bar at the time of the crime. We've offered our digital analysis services to the county in support of their investigation. No, I don't think I can comment on that at this time. It'd be premature. Well, I'm sure you can appreciate the sensitivity of this situation and our need to protect the privacy of the families. I don't want the families to be learning of developments from me on television before the notifications have gone out through the Sheriff's Department or other appropriate avenues. Well, so the evidence response team is in place. It's going to be a thorough and painstaking process that will take as long as it takes, quite frankly. It will take some number of days. We'll make sure that we bring the appropriate resources from the FBI Laboratory Division. They're en route. We will use all the resources that we can bring to bear, and we'll pursue the appropriate interviews, analyze the evidence recovered from the various scenes, look at the forensic evidence. Of course, once again, we're doing this all in coordination and in support of the Sheriff's Department investigation. We're bringing our technical resources to bear in support of their investigation. And I'll leave it to the captain to talk about the process of the investigative steps after that. I'm not going to comment on the evidence that's recovered from the crime scene at this time.
From what you've seen, sir, what similarities or differences have stuck out to you from other crime scenes, such as San Bernardino, or others that you've been to or studied? What sticks out here compared to those?
Well, I think each one is horrible in its own way. The similarities that we would draw at this point are that they are all tragic circumstances. From a law enforcement point of view, certainly we try to do some pattern analysis in order to get out in front of these type of threats, to be involved with our mental health community, to be involved with state and local partners, to reach out to private sector and to the community to make sure that individuals that are at risk come to our attention.
We're going to have one more question, and then we're going to have PIOs available for you individually, but we're going to have one more question, and then we're going to end this presser.
Where will this area open up? Like,
I have to defer to you, Captain, on the...
when will this area open up?
When the scene is processed and when we are out of here and when we can open it up in a safe manner, we'll open up the roads. We've opened up the 101.
All right, we've been listening to
off-ramp,
Captain Garo
southbound.
Karigian with the Sheriff's Department in Ventura County, also listening to the ATF and the FBI there. NBC's Miguel Almaguer is there as well in Thousand Oaks, where that news conference just happened. Miguel, not a lot of new information since this morning, but recap for us what we know.
Well, Kate, yeah, we're still waiting to figure out what the motive may be in this shooting. That remains the million-dollar question. It seems investigators are no closer to that. They said that's going to take quite some time. As you know, this all unfolded at around 11:20 last night. Those first shots rang out. 911 was called. Investigators arrived on scene. 2 officers went inside the nightclub. 1 was shot and killed. More SWAT team arrived here. A backup team came in. And when they first went in, the sheriff originally said the suspect was killed from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. That was not confirmed at this press conference here, but we do know investigators have been to the suspect's family home. They are combing through the residence there. They're also combing through his vehicle, which was apparently driven by the suspect here to the crime scene. As you know, 12 people were killed, including that sheriff's deputy who had been a veteran of 29 years in the force and was just months away from retirement. Investigators still have many unanswered questions here, Kate.
All right, Miguel, thank you. Ron Mott is out there as well. He's at Los Robles Regional Medical Center. And Ron, you've been covering those who were injured, those who were lost. What do we know about some of the people who were there? This was college night at the bar.
College night, and a lot of young people, Kate, some as young as 18, who would enjoy some good country music on a Wednesday night at this very popular bar, and it turned into what we saw last night, just a horrific night. We had 11 patients brought here to this medical center, and what's remarkable, given the fact that the alleged weapon in this case is a pretty powerful handgun, a .45 caliber Glock handgun, 10 of the 11 patients who were brought to Los Robles were treated and released, which is remarkable, some of them including gunshot victims. The one person who did not make it out alive is sadly Sergeant Helis, the 29-year veteran of the Ventura County Sheriff's Department. As was his custom, apparently, Kate, whenever he knew that there was a dangerous call that he was headed to, he'd make a call to his wife. He called home, apparently last night, and told her, "I'll call you back in a few minutes," and sadly that did not happen. He was struck, as Miguel mentioned, as the first responding officer going into that bar last night, almost as if, and we don't know this just yet, confirmed from the Sheriff's Department, that perhaps that shooter was waiting for first responders to come into the building to hit them with gunfire, and that was the case with this sergeant last night. Shortly after he was pronounced, they put together an honor guard, if you will, a funeral procession, not a funeral procession from here over to the medical examiner's office. People have come out of their homes in these neighboring communities to pay their respects. It's been quite a remarkable day here. Kate?
Yeah, I'm sure. Ron Mott out in California as well. Once again, 12 people total have been killed in that mass shooting late last night. It's in Thousand Oaks, California. Lester Holt will be reporting from the scene tonight, anchoring from there for NBC Nightly News. We'll have much more on those whose lives were lost. For now, I'm Kate Snow, NBC News in New York.